Build creative confidence. Beat the inspiration addiction. Join the Writer's Gym. I want to have a little word today about the mythical creature I think does our psyches most damage as creative people. It is not a gorgon or a dragon or an ogre. It is a grown-up. Let me explain why I am concerned about this. The last two interviews that you've heard on the Writer's Gym with a creative writer and an academic writer both include examples of how somebody else is a proper writer or doing it properly, or I am the kind of writer who, which is different to there is another kind of writer who does this other idea that maybe I've had, but it's an idea I might not get round to because I'm not that kind of writer. Here's how I think it relates to grown-ups. On our excuses bingo grid, which, as you know, is the noughts and crosses, massive noughts and crosses grid that I get people to do, where we write in the phrases that get in our way, like when so-and-so was my age, they'd written this many books, or I can't be an author because I don't enjoy social media yet, or anything at all, anything that your brain throws at you, it goes in there. And it stands between you and a change in the status quo from book being in the future and this perfect thing that is out there in the future but doesn't exist yet, and where I am now. It stops the brain from thinking status quo is safe and the future is unknown and therefore not safe. That grid is there to keep us in the status quo. So anyway, the grown-up thing. Some of my grown-ups that I have looked up to when I genuinely wasn't one, when I was a smaller person, well, younger person, included people who did not believe starting a sentence with a conjunction like but or and was okay, even when it was fiction, even when you were doing dialogue, even when it was a voice. It's that sort of thing that means I still have adults saying things like, but I'm not allowed to start a sentence with a fronted adverbial. Those people didn't necessarily want to destroy emotionally authentic literature. That is not what they woke up in the morning thinking they wanted to do. What they wanted to do, probably, was get me through an English exam, showing that I could get through that hoop, that I did understand the rules. Unfortunately, because of the way we simplify in our brains, I would have associated those people with having a rule that they believed in, and that me breaking it made me bad or naughty or wrong. And I am carrying that idea of what a grown-up is in my head. It's helpful to spot those. They don't just come up with writing. They can come up with anything that we care about. There will be a grown-up in our head who we think doesn't have that problem. I would be a proper grown-up if my kitchen were as clean as my mother's. I would be a proper grown-up if I were writing this genre instead of that one. It can be anything. And when you hear your friend, your colleague, your fellow Writer's Gym member, your writing coach say any of those, you can hear they're not true. But when we're listening to our own, we can't always hear they're not true. So if you haven't already, have a listen to Ali and Zavi on the last two episodes and listen to how the books that they have created in the world, which are fantastic, have not stopped them from thinking, I'm not necessarily the kind of writer who. And if they are doing that then, it's not because of where they're at in their writing career. It's going to be like every single other person that is an ingredient in their head, in my head, in your head. So as ever, it's not about expecting the feelings to change. It's not about thinking there is going to be a time when I have all the confidence in the world, any more than I'm going to have all the time in the world. And then I'm going to write my book because then I'll have enough confidence and then I'll have enough time. It's something much kinder than that. It is understanding that as long as we are alive, we don't have all the answers, and we don't have all the time, and we don't have all the confidence, but we do have our curiosity. So please, 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 please transcribe honestly from what is in your head onto the page. When I talk about thinking on the page, the reason it's important is it allows us to see what we're thinking, who we are, what we're interested in, what we want to get into the world. And it is so, so, so important because it unblocks. I've had published authors who maybe resisted journaling suddenly realise that when you journal for a bit, it gets rid of the emotional circles that might be going on in our heads about things, and we're able to put those things down and move through to what we want to do creatively. Similarly, if there is a creative idea in our head and we're not doing it because we don't think we're that kind of writer, that's another way of blocking. So what I am saying to you is that there is such a thing as adults. But I think the myth of the grown-up, who is completely grown up, who knows what's going on, I don't think anybody deliberately made us think that about them. And they certainly didn't make us deliberately not think that about ourselves. But let's just notice that story we're telling ourselves. And let's engage with the fact that writing is, as I said to Xavi, and I've said to lots of other people on previous episodes, it is not an exam room. It is a playroom. We are there to explore. We are there to discover. I am not sitting on Mount Olympus dictating this to you. I am a human writer who has done some things and would like to do more things. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to listen, I'm going to transcribe, and I'm going to keep thinking on the page. So that is just a little thought for this week about unblocking and thinking on the page, and why I think the myth of the grown-up is one I don't choose to believe in anymore. You've visited the Writer's Gym with author and coach Dr. Rachel Knightley. Production and sound design are by Ashley Lexine, and theme music is by Chris Gregory. To join a Writer's Gym workout online or in London, as a guest or as a member, visit writersgym.com or email thewritersgym@rachelknightley.com.